Hey, so we're here in North Seattle, and I'm going to take you on a little drive from Wallingford, the Fremont area by the University of Washington, down toward Capitol Hill, where we're going to go visit a listing. And I want you to just see some of the beautiful architecture that we have here, some of the changes that are happening to the area, what parking is like, sidewalks, all of that stuff, so that you can see what it's going to be like to live here in the Seattle area. I am a local real estate agent. My name is Emily Cressey, and I help people who are relocating here to Seattle to find the right homes. And I know a lot of times we see either homes on the MLS with professional photography that look beautiful, or we see maps that are from, a big distance, and we don't really get a sense for what the neighborhood is like, what the culture is like, going for a walk, what does that look like on the street? So I'm going to be driving you around and giving you a sense of what is going on here in the Seattle area so that you can feel like if you're moving to the city, do you want to live in the city itself or do you want to live farther out? This is a very good look at some nice areas in Seattle that are fairly expensive to live in, so you can see if the Seattle neighborhoods that we're visiting are right for you. So now we're heading toward Green Lake, so we're just going to be going north. You can see a little bit of the views of the lake there. We're on Halliday and 6th. And we're getting onto Aurora Avenue here. So Aurora Avenue parallels the I-5 freeway. This is also known as Highway 99, and it's our big north-south street. It does become a toll road if you take it south. It's a great shortcut for getting to West Seattle, which is south of downtown, at Alki Beach and all of that. And we're going over the Aurora Bridge. So Aurora is the one that is famous for having a lot of prostitution. I find that to be more the case toward the shoreline border. So North Seattle, it turns into shoreline at 145th, and then it gets more policed. But in that area between Northgate, like 110th and 145th, is where I tend to see those types of things happening. If you get off here, kind of crowded. We're at 38th. So this is kind of parallel, or we're crossing through the area that would be associated with the U District, Fremont, that kind of thing, which is at 45th. So we're at 40th right now. So this is kind of where the North Lake Union area would be. And yeah, so if you live here in Seattle, Aurora is a good place to know about. It's a good freeway alternative, especially for driving around during rush hour. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon right now. And the speed limit's, I think, 45 in most places. But it does have a lot of stoplights. And it can, as you see over there, it can have heavy traffic. So just depending on how far you're going and what your alternatives are, it's not always the best. There's the Rapid Ride Bus Center, or bus stop. So you can take a city bus from there. It's supposed to have, be more direct, fewer stops, that type of a thing. Some new construction apartments or something, it looks like, going in on the left. And now we're going through all this green space is around the zoo. So Woodland Park Zoo. And then Lower Woodland Park is on the border of Green Lake. So we have some nice areas here for people who live in this area. You can get a zoo membership. It's not cheap. It's probably like $100 for the year, maybe more. I don't know. I haven't gotten one. Things keep seeming to get more and more expensive. But a lot of people who live in the area and like the idea of going for a lot of walks with their kids in the zoo get a pass. And then over there is Lower Woodland Park. It has soccer fields and baseball fields and goes down to Green Lake, which you can kind of see the water through the trees there. You can see it on the map. So Green Lake is a really great destination for going for walks as well. It's a flat 3 miles, a little shy of 3 miles around the lake. There's almost always lots of people walking on it. Dogs, joggers, roller skaters. They used to have bikers, but they have built this path. You can see this bicycle guy coming up. They built this bicycle path at a different level around the lake, trying to get the bicycles and the pedestrians a little bit more separation. But you can see there's a pedestrian on the bicycle path as well. So it's not like the police come and get you. But I suppose if you're good at biking and you go fast, it could be a little bit crowded to bike down there at Green Lake. But if you're like a 5-year-old and you're going slower than your parents can walk, then that's probably still good. This is one of the places where my parents used to take us bicycling. And I think we, the children, were the only ones on the bikes. Also, there's a couple of beaches here at Green Lake where you can go swimming, and they have lifeguards in the summer. There is a kiddie wading pool, which was a huge hot spot for me when I was a baby and also for my babies. It's about 1 to 2 feet deep, the whole thing. So there's no like big deep end where they can't swim. And they can go wading around and do squirt guns and sit on an inner tube. And it's just a really nice, safe water exposure. I believe the park is currently draining that whole thing out every night. And then they're refilling it with water and they're treating it with chemicals. So it does stay, clean and sanitary as far as these things go. And it's a big outdoor wading pool put on by the public parks. I don't know if they fill it every day in the summer, or if the temperature of the air has to be a certain amount of warmth or what. But anyway, that's a really nice place to live right there by Green Lake. And some really beautiful homes there, as well as townhomes, apartments, all sorts of other things. We're steering away from the lake and continuing on with Aurora Avenue now. There's this motorcycle shop that's been there forever. And then PCC, Community Market, because it's behind those lights, but that's a fancy upscale grocery store. And then of course we have 7-Eleven and a lot of stuff that's not so fancy. Okay, we're on Harvard Avenue East. We're heading south. This is I-5 next to us here, and we're heading toward Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is east of downtown Seattle. You can start to see up ahead, there's the Seattle city skyline. So that's how far away we are. We're by Roanoke Park. This is Roanoke Street right here. You can see some of the cool homes. I mean, this whole area had some really cool older homes that got really close to the freeway when the freeway got put in the 1960s. But one of the things that people love is really the architecture and the construction around here in this area. There's the park right there. And then you could see a sign for the Seattle Asian Art Museum coming up on the right. And we're going to be going over this bridge here. This is 10th Avenue. So here we are. We're on Capitol Hill. We're going up the hill. We're on 10th Avenue. And you can see the blinking lights for the schools, like 2:45 in the afternoon. Beautiful sunny day. And this is just classic Seattle day right here. This is what we love. The beautiful fresh air, blue skies, sun is out, none of that rain that they tell you about, and a really fun day to be out driving. So we're on Capitol Hill. We're gonna go look at a listing, gonna preview a listing here, and just showing you the mix, right? There's new construction right here. There's older house right here. And this is one of the most desirable locations in Seattle due to its proximity to downtown. And it's got some great views. It's got some great history. And you can just tell, some of these really cool older homes. So unlike in some areas where the homes get really run down and just used as rentals and kind of forgotten about, these homes they're on pretty expensive land. So they tend to cost a lot of money to buy. And so if you have one, you usually take good care of it. And they do sell and they do turn over. And there are inspections happening when that happens. And so people tend to stay on top of them, and they can sell for, over $1 million. So even though it is older, it's probably had that galvanized pipe that rusts after 50 to 80 years. That's probably been replaced. It's probably had that knob and tube wire from that 100-year-old electricity replaced over time. And so what these tend to do is just like you're living in a piece of history. You're getting the whole neighborhood, the whole aesthetic, just a lot of character in a way that you don't really have when you're buying a new cookie cutter home from a builder. So it's really fun, and you can sort of see through the trees there. There's the lake. That way is north, so that's probably Lake Union. I'm a little twisted around. We should have Lake Washington to the east of us. We'll look away from the sun, see if you can get some views. So we've seen a couple homes for sale. That brown shingle house is for sale. I do not like those. Oh, shingles on the walls. Here's a cemetery here on the right, which creates a lot of green space, a lot of quietness. Here over here, Louisa Boren Park. Look at that view. Ooh la la. Passing Garfield Street, you can see on the map. Green space here with the cemetery. This is the new construction stuff. So if you like those townhomes, we got them going in everywhere, boy, everywhere. Lots of vertical construction going on. And so that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it's really nice to have, like, this is a very unique stucco building. It looks like an older apartment building to me, but probably from like the 60s. But what we have a lot here, especially in Capitol Hill, is the older buildings that are from the early 1900s and even beyond. This is one of the areas that was founded by the city fathers, right, of Washington State. Washington was incorporated as a state in 1889. If I recall, there's some Seattle people here. So you just get a little bit more sense of history. Here's Volunteer Park. This is a big, very popular park in the area. On Sunday morning, I'll come here to meet with clients and see like strollers of people all migrating toward the park. So it's really nice to have these green spaces here, especially when you are, in a pretty densely packed area. Not too many people are going to have big yards here. And so it's nice to have some green space, especially if you've got kids or dogs, to run around, stretch your legs, get some sun, breathe in some fresh air, and interact with your neighbors, right? There's another sign for the Seattle Asian Art Museum. Over there, you see some plastic on the chimney. They're probably redoing the chimney. Let's see, that person's not going. Redoing the chimney here, redoing something with the brickwork. That is probably a little free library with the books that people give away. Read it and then you put it in there and then somebody else can pick it up for free. It's a nice idea. I've seen them in my neighborhood too. They're all over Seattle, but people tend to have sort of the same books that stick around, like the 1970s recipe book that nobody wants. But you can see people out on the streets. You can see the cool historic homes. Really interesting architecture there. That's a classic craftsman architecture with those columns. And then a huge church right here, St. Joseph. A huge, I believe, Catholic church. So even though we're very close to all the skyscrapers and everything, you just don't have the feeling of being under them here. They're kind of all across the freeway. South Lake Union trolley also does come into this area, kind of First Hill, Cherry Hill area. Whoa. More of the modern skyscraper stuff here. Then older, lower rise stuff over here on the left. getting an idea for some of the shops. Rocket Taco, pizza, a lot of bars and clubs in this area. So a lot of people on Capitol Hill, one of the things that draws them to this area is the nightlife and being able to go out walking and have some place to go, meeting people, talking to people, being friendly with neighbors. It's much less of a car-dependent area than a lot of places in Seattle. So between the buses and the walkable shops, it just makes things very pleasant and accessible. Okay, we're on 19th and we're about to cross East Thomas Street.